Hello, good morning everyone. We have done chapter electricity and lightning first part. Today we are going to do second part in the NCERT book. This chapter has been given in another chapter number, and that chapter number is 15, some natural phenomena. Now we will study how an object gets charged. We are told to perform an activity here. We will cut a rectangular pieces. We will cut a rectangular piece from a styrofoam plate, the white one which is used in the parties and picnics. We will rub it vigorously with a piece of paper or wool for about a minute. What we will find that the pieces of styrofoam and the paper attract the beads of paper. See here what has been shown to us here, that we have cut a piece of rectangular piece from a styrofoam plate, and we will rub it vigorously with a piece of paper or a wool for about a minute, and then we will take the small pieces of that same paper which we had rubbed. We will find that the pieces of styrofoam and the paper attract each other. This shows that both of them are charged and they are oppositely charged. They attract each other, so they are oppositely charged. Here it has been shown they are attracting. When we rub styrofoam with paper, what happens? Some negative charges from the paper travel to the styrofoam, as it can be seen here. Suppose this is a piece of paper and this is another styrofoam. This is before rubbing. The charges are like this: minus, plus, minus, plus, minus, like this. Positive and negative charges are in this. When we rub both of them, after rubbing, see, some of the minus charges, some of the negative charges has traveled from the paper into the styrofoam. Thus the styrofoam paper has excess of negative charge and it acquires negative charge, overall negative charge. This paper which loses negative charge has no deficiency of negative charge, but it has an excess of positive charge, so it acquires positive charge, overall positive charge. So it so happens that in general, when two bodies are charged by rubbing, then they acquire equal and opposite charge. How it happens? Now I think you all have understood. Both when it is rubbed, charges may travel from one body into another body. So when charges are getting transferred from one body to another body, maybe from this to this or this to this, whatever may be the cases, when we are taking two bodies, then one of them will acquire positive charge, another will acquire the negative charge. So as many electrons will be leaving one body, same number will be entering into the other body. So the one which will lose electron will become positively charged. So as much positive charge will be acquired in this body, same number of negative charge will be acquired by the other body which gains those number of electrons. So whenever two bodies are rubbed against one another, one body will acquire positive charge and the other body will acquire negative charge. So when we are rubbing a glass over silk, glass gets positively charged and silk gets negatively charged. So you can underline here, the glass gets positively charged and silk gets negatively charged. When we rub plastic with wool, the plastic gets negatively charged and the wool gets positively charged. So this was charging by rubbing. That means we can charge a body by rubbing. Now another method is charging body by conduction. That means rubbing is not only the way to charge a body. We can charge a neutral body by bringing in contact with charged body. So by rubbing, when we are charging a body, both are acquiring equal and opposite charge. Now we will charge here by conduction method. So first let us perform this activity. We will roll a small piece of paper and glue it together to make a cylinder like this, and we will suspend this piece of paper in the cylinder form with the help of a string as shown in the diagram. Then we will take a plastic ruler and we will rub that plastic ruler over the wool or the flannel and bring it close to this cylinder, this paper cylinder. Initially, that means in the beginning, what will happen? The cylinder will be attracted to the negatively charged ruler. We have studied in this page, here we have studied that when we are rubbing a plastic over wool, then the plastic gets negatively charged. So here when we are rubbing that plastic over the wool, the plastic gets negatively charged, and it so happens that this piece of paper gets attracted towards the plastic which is negatively charged, this ruler which is negatively charged. But as soon as the ruler touches it, the cylinder will move away with a jerk. This cylinder, see first what is happening, the bend you can see in the thread, it is attracted towards the ruler. Now after just it has touched, we will see this goes backward with a jerk. You can see here it gone down. See the bend this side, the thread moving this side. So what happens? How it happens? It so happens that when we have touched it, by conduction, similar charges is acquired in both the bodies. So when both of these, the plastic ruler was negatively charged and the cylinder paper also became negatively charged. Now when both of them got same charge, we have studied that like charges repel each other. So what happened? It repelled and it went backward with a jerk. See here, let us see the book now what they are telling us. Initially, the electrically neutral cylinder gets attracted to the negatively charged. I told you this one. The cylinder, like any other object, has millions of atoms with an equal number of negative and positive charges. When we bring the ruler close to it, the negative charge in the cylinder moves away from the ruler, leaving positive charge near the ruler. And therefore, the cylinder moves towards the ruler. But the negative charges are free to move about and positive charges are not free to move wide. You can understand from this diagram what happens in the beginning. In the beginning, what has happened? Both of them are having like this condition. Here negative, positive, positive, negative. So what happened? This, when the ruler is brought here, the positive comes this side. But when it remains in contact, some of the negative charges get transferred from this scale to this one. So number of negative charges in this one has decreased. See here so many are there, here less. And here this side no negative, here negative has come. So what happens? The negative charge this side also, negative charge this end also. Now, so what happens? Both of them acquires similar charge and they repel each other. Same thing has been explained in the whole paragraph here. So we come to the conclusion that charging a neutral body by bringing it in contact with a charged body is called charging by conduction. And when we charge a body by conduction, then both of them acquire similar charge. Next method, charging by induction. When we brought the ruler close to the paper cylinder, when we brought the ruler close to the paper cylinder, there was a temporary alignment of the charges within the cylinder. The negative charges in the cylinder were repelled by the ruler and pushed to one end of the cylinder. Here you can understand what has been told in this paragraph, that when this one is brought closer to this, it has not been touched and it is closer to it, what happens? The negative charges were repelled other side, because here it is negative charge, so like charges repel one another. So the like charge, that means the negative charge of the cylinder, was pushed away at the other end of the cylinder. This behavior of a charge can be used to charge an object. Now we are told to perform an activity. We will use some aluminium foil, that means that is used to wrap food. When you bring food from the hotel, they wrap in aluminium foil and give you, so that one you can wash and use that, or if you have extra one at home, or you can buy from the market and perform the activity. Attach them to the sticks and stand them up on a table with the help of a modeling clay or atta. We are told to let the spheres touch each other as shown in the diagram here. In this diagram it has been shown here. And we are told to take a plastic ruler that is negatively charged and bring close to the sphere A. And then slowly we will move this sphere B away from this sphere A as shown here. And when we will test the spheres A and B of which charge they have acquired, we will see that the sphere A is positively charged and the sphere B is negatively charged. How it happens, that we have to understand. So when we bring the negatively charged ruler close to the sphere A, the negative charges in this sphere move away from this end. It moves to this side. This part it moves as far as possible. And some of them may even cross and go to the sphere B, this sphere B, leaving positive charges in sphere A. And when we slowly move this sphere B away from the sphere A in the presence of this ruler, as it is shown in this diagram, that means whatever negative charge had jumped into this sphere in this place when it was in contact, then it will remain here only. It cannot go, it will not be able to go back. Why it will not be able to go back? Because this negative charge of this rod is, this plastic ruler is repelling. So it will remain here only, and when we will pull this, we will take away this sphere B away from sphere A, so the negative charge will remain here only. So the sphere A acquires a net positive charge and sphere B acquires a net negative charge. And if we had moved the ruler away from here, if we would have moved this plastic ruler A away from these two spheres, before moving this sphere B away from A, then what would have happened? Both the spheres charge would have got rearranged themselves and the two spheres would remain again electrically neutral. So what conclusion do we get from this activity? We conclude that charging objects by bringing them near a charged body is called charging by induction. Charging objects by bringing them near a charged body is called charging by induction. Now the question is asked here about detecting and measuring charge, that we have seen that these two have acquired some charge A and B. So it has been told to us, then we have understood. But how would we test the charge of sphere A and sphere B? So we could bring each sphere close to a suspended charge rod and see if the rod is repelled. If the spheres repel a negatively charged rod, it must be negatively charged, and if it repels a positively charged, it must be a positively charged. So how we will check? We will take what we have done here, what we had seen here. We will take a glass rod, rub it over silk, and we know it is positively charged. We will bring this, we will hang that glass rod and bring this sphere, we will bring this sphere close to it, again this another sphere close to it. So out of these two, which we will get repelled, we will understand that is positively charged. So A will get repelled. And again what we will do, we will take a plastic ruler and we will rub it over wool, and then what we understand that plastic gets negatively charged. So again the other one sphere we will bring closer to it. What we will see, the sphere makes that scale which is hanging, plastic scale hanging, repelled. So it confirms that this sphere B is negatively charged because like charges repel each other. Now we are told to do another activity again. We are told blow up two balloons and tie strings to them. Stroke the balloons gently with wool. That means we are told to strike the balloon with wool. This will make the balloons charged. Now we will hold the string together. And since both the balloons we have struck with the wool, what happens? Both of them will get same charge, similar charge. And when we will catch this thread and close, we try to bring the balloons together, what we will see that they are repelling each other. So this activity also proves that like charges repel each other. Now we can do again by taking some other balloons. We will take one balloon, we will rub it with the help of wool, and we will take another balloon and we will rub it over silk, and then what we will do, we will try to bring closer to them. We will see they attract each other because both of them are getting opposite charge. One we have rubbed on wool, so as we saw here, it will get positively charged. And another balloon, when we will rub our silk, what will happen? That balloon will get positively charged. So unlike charges attract each other, so both the balloons will attract one another. Now we are told to again do the activity, repeat this experiment activity by rubbing the balloons with wool vigorously. Both the balloons will rub vigorously on the wool. What we will see, they will fly from one another much farther, much at a greater speed. Why? Because both of them we have rubbed much over the wool, so they have acquired large amount of charge, negative charge on them. Or you say in this way, both of them has acquired the same charge. Both of them has acquired the same charge, that is negative charge only, and that is in more amount, large amount, so repulsion takes place. Now let us see what has been given in our book. The force with which two similar charges repel each other or two dissimilar charges attract each other depends on the amount of the charge they carry. The greater the charge on the balloons, the farther apart they will be moved. So the extent to which the balloons fly apart gives us the idea of the magnitude of charge on them. So when we did this experiment 2 times, 3 times, we understood here that when we rubbed more vigorously on the wool, more charges were acquired on both the balloons and they repelled one another more further. So the more the charges on them, more will be the repulsion. So we can say the greater the charge, the further they are moving apart. So now we will study about the instrument or the apparatus called the gold leaf electroscope that is used to measure the charge, the nature of the charge and the amount of the charge. So the gold leaf electroscope is used to detect, means to find, measure and find the nature of the charge. To find out, detect means to find out whether it is a charge or not, and if it is charged, then we have to find how much it is charged. Exact quantity we cannot get, but we can know whether it is less or more, and then we can find with the help of gold leaf electroscope the nature of the charge. That means whether it is positively charged or negatively charged. So this gold leaf electroscope consists of two thin strip leaves that is made up of gold. So it is called the gold leaf electroscope, and it is attached to the metal rod which is suspended inside a glass jar. Now let us see in this diagram the gold leaf electroscope. As I told you that this gold leaf electroscope consists of two thin strips, or we call the leaves made of gold, and that is attached to a metal rod, and this metal rod is passed through a rubber stopper which is having a hole in it, and on the top of the metal rod there is a metal disc. So this leaves are made up of gold, and so it is called gold leaf electroscope. It may be made up of silver, it may be made up of copper or brass. We know that gold and silver, they are the best conductor. That's why gold one is taken here. So it will do the conduction of charge in a better way. So when we will bring a charged body in contact with this metal disc, by conduction what will happen? It will get charged. And what we had studied in this page, what we had studied, that by conduction the bodies get same charge, equal charge, both of them get like charged. So here also when we will touch this disc, then what will happen? This charge, whatever charged body we have brought, the same charge will travel to this one also, and this gold leaf will diverge. Suppose the leaf was in this way, it will become this way, divergence will take place. See here, suppose the leaf is in this way, it will get this way. So the divergence indicates the presence of the charge, and how much divergence takes, suppose little take place or more takes place. This divergence, the amount of divergence, if this leaves move little bit or it moves more, it will tell us how much charge it is. So the divergence here tells us whether the body is charged or not. That means if I will bring a positively charged body and touch it, it will get diverged. If I will if the electroscope is not charged and I will bring any other negatively charged body and I will touch here, it also will diverge and tell us that the body I have got charged. But to know whether it is positively charged, whether the body I have brought and touched is positively charged or negatively charged, first we have to charge this electroscope with a particular charge. For example, we know that when we are rubbing a glass rod over silk, then it is getting positively charged. We have studied in the earlier page that when we are rubbing a glass rod over silk, it is getting positively charged. So let us see this one diagram. Suppose I will rub a glass rod on the silk and I will bring and touch the disc of this gold leaf electroscope. Then what will happen? It will get by conduction similar charge and there will be divergence in the gold leaf. It will diverge this way. And now if I want to check a body whether it is positively charged or negatively charged, then I will bring and touch it on this disc again. When I have rubbed with glass rod, then I have understood that now we know that this is positively charged. Now suppose we are told to test this body whether it is positively or negatively charged. So I will bring that body which has to be tested and touch it here. And I will notice the divergence of this leaf. If this divergence increases, that means we will understand that the body which we have brought and touched, it is also positively charged. Because same type of charges, so what will happen in these two leaves, same charge occur, so repulsion takes place. But now suppose I had brought the body and it was negatively charged, then what will happen? Opposite charge will come here, so what will happen? Some of the positive charges will get cancelled and the positive charge number will decrease, and so the divergence will decrease. See here, the divergence is more, but when I bring a negatively charged, the divergence become less. And when I had brought positively charged, suppose the body we had brought is positively charged, then what happened? The divergence increases. So the distance between these leaves will tell us whether the body is positively charged or negatively charged. Next we have flow of charge. Some materials allow charge to flow through them, or we can say they conduct charge. So those bodies which allow charge to flow them, they are called conductors. And how much better a conductor a body is, what the material is, whether a good conductor or a bad conductor or an insulator, it depends upon or how much good a conductor is. As we saw in the case of metal, I told you earlier that silver, gold, copper, these all are best conductor, and other metals, they are good conductor. So whether a conductor also, it is how much conductor it is, it depends upon the number of free electrons in them, negative charges in them, how much electrons are free in them, how much amount they can move. Metals in general, they are good conductor. Gold, silver and copper, they are the excellent one, best one. However, we cannot charge metals easily by rubbing. The human body can also conduct charge to some extent. That is why we get electric shock when we touch an electric wire. So we are never told to touch any electric wire, we are told not to do any electrical work without standing on an insulator, wooden or plastic one, or if we don't know, we should not do any electric work. Because our body is a good conductor and it conducts charge, electricity through our body. Electrons flow through our body. So when we are providing a path for electricity to flow, then it is called earthing or grounding. Providing a path for electricity to flow between an object and the earth is called earthing or grounding. So in this paragraph we saw about the metals. Now in this one we are told about the non-metals. Most non-metals like wood, phosphorus, rubber, plastic, all of these are insulators. They do not allow electricity to flow through them. They do not allow flow of conduction of charge. Charges do not flow through them. Carbon is exceptional case. The lead in our pencil that we have, the lead in our pencil, this one, see here, this one, this black one that we are seeing, this one lead, it is a good conductor and it is an allotropic form of carbon. It is easier to charge non-conductors by friction, by rubbing. Now this page, again we are told to do an activity. Lots of activities are there in our book. Charge an electroscope by touching a disc with a charged plastic or a glass rod. See here in this diagram I will explain. We will take a gold leaf electroscope. We will take a plastic or a glass rod which we have rubbed, and then we will touch this gold disc of the gold leaf. It will get charged. Suppose I have taken the plastic ruler and rubbed it over silk and brought it here in contact to this, then it will get negatively charged. We will take another uncharged one, disc gold leaf electroscope, another uncharged one, and we will take an uncharged plastic with what we had charged this one. That ruler you leave it, you keep aside, take another ruler, another plastic ruler which is not charged, and keep over both of these. What we will observe, the leaves here, the leaves do not get diverged. Why? It does not get diverged because non-metals, or you can say plastic, or these are insulators which do not have free electrons. They cannot transfer charge. They cannot be charged by conduction. It was charged, or it is charged, we will say it is charged, and I have kept a plastic ruler, uncharged plastic ruler, so that this is charged. Then by conduction this should also get negatively charged, and by that this should also get negatively charged, but it does not happen so. Now we will remove this plastic ruler, and instead of that we will keep a copper wire, any electric wire, copper, silver, aluminium, any wire will connect both of these. So what we will see after some time, we will see, soon we can see that these two leaves gets diverged. Why? Because here it was negatively charged, here we had got it negatively charged, so this is negatively charged one. I have removed this scale. Now I have placed a good conductor, we can say conductor, aluminium wire, copper wire. I have connected these two, so these metals they get charged by conduction. Metals get charged by conduction, and the charge from here it got in this one, this got charged, and again it is also metal disc, so it also got charged, and this one metal, all these are metal, so divergence takes place. So this activity proves that. So what was the aim of performing this activity? The aim is to know that non-metals do not get charged by conduction, and metals get charged by conduction. So non-metals they get charged by rubbing, by friction. Now see, the explanation has been given here. Plastic is an insulator. So the first case, the negative charge cannot flow from one electroscope to the other one. Electric wires made of copper or aluminium are good conductors. So in the second case, the charge flows from the first electroscope to the other until the same charge they acquire. Our body is also capable of conducting charge. So when we touch the disc of an electroscope, it gets discharged, because whatever is the charge here, it gets transferred through our body into the ground. So if you have a charge electroscope and you want to discharge it, then you touch the disc, the charge will flow from the disc into your body and then into the ground. Next we have sparks and lightnings. We are told here to charge a styrofoam plate by rubbing it with wool or paper for about a minute. We are told to clamp a plastic cloth pin on one side of the aluminum foil as shown in the diagram here. So that plastic cloth pin will act as an insulator. This one. We will hold the pan by this handle and place it on the plate. We will hold it here and then we will place it on the plate. We will turn off the light of the room and bring our finger close to the top of the pan. We will hear a crackling sound. We may see a small flash of light and we may feel a mild shock. A small form of lightning. How it happened? When we rubbed the styrofoam plate, this one plate, when we rubbed it plate with wool or paper, it got negatively charged. Since styrofoam is an insulator, negative charge electrons cannot move about easily inside it. However, electrons can move freely in a conductor like aluminium. So when the aluminium foil pan is placed on the negatively charged plate, this plate, the electrons of the pan are repelled and they gather at the top of the pan. Here in this place they get collected. And when we bring our finger near the top, the electrons jump from this end, top part of the to our finger, and then we get the shock, and this travels through our body into the ground. The flow of charge through the air or the gas is called electric discharge. We had just brought the finger close to the pan, we had not touched it, so it jumped from here into our body. This flow of charge to the air or the gas is called an electric discharge. Sparks and lightnings that take place in the sky, they are the examples of electric discharge. See, a diagram has been shown here, lightning spark. Next we have lightning. How does lightning take place in the sky? Clouds, they contain tiny crystals of ice and droplets of water which move against each other. When you rub your both palms together, what do you observe? You feel that your palms had got warmed up. So when the clouds rub against one another, what happens? Huge amounts of charge are built up in the clouds. But nothing happens due to this charge build up because air does not conduct the charge from the clouds. But when the accumulation of the charge is greater enough and the wind brings the cloud close to one another, the charge can jump from one cloud to another cloud through the air. And as we saw in this case, that when charge jump from one place to another through the air, then it is called electric discharge. So the electric discharge takes place in the sky also through the air, and this electric discharge is called lightning. During this lightning, a huge amount of energy is released in the form of light, and because of that, sound is also produced that we call them as the thunderstorm or just the thunder. That's why we say that there is a lightning and thunder in the sky, especially during the rainy season. Nowadays we are hearing much. When the wind brings the cloud close to the earth during the thunderstorm, the accumulated charges sometimes jumps from the cloud to the ground. From the cloud it jumps into the ground. See here, from the cloud jumping towards the ground through the air. If it is building here, trees there, if the trees, the buildings may get burnt or damaged. The energy released is tremendous amount. It is so much amount that it can make the tree or the building burn. They are set on fire. and that's why to protect buildings from the lightning, a lightning conductor is installed on the top of the buildings. Even on the top of our schools, these are set up to keep us safe from the lightning. So that is known as lightning conductor. See here how it is set up. On the top of the building, on the top, the spike like, pointed like, this conductor is set up, and then it flows downward. Charge that will come, or the lightning that will come, it will flow. How it will flow? Because this is made straight to the metal rod, and that metal rod is buried deep inside the earth, and inside the earth there is a huge plate, metal plate, very big one. So when lightning tries to strike the building, this good conductor, copper one especially, it is made of copper, it attracts that towards itself. Instead of falling on the building, it attacks toward itself, and then it conduct it through this copper. Being a conductor, good conductor, it conducts all of the charge, all the lightning into the ground, and then the building is protected, and we all of us get protected. We all of us are protected. So it is usually installed on the top of the buildings, and we are told that whenever lightning and thunder is taking place, we should remain inside our house. If we are out, we should never take shelter under tall trees, because there is more chance of lightning striking the tall buildings. So we have to be safe. We have to protect ourselves. We have to take care of these all. Whenever lightning is taking place, we should not stay in open place. We should not take shelter under the high rising building or tree. We should switch off our radio, television, even our mobile set. We should switch them off. We should stay away from poles or metal objects. And this chapter is over now. So you all study nicely.
Please like the video, subscribe the channel.
Thank you.